Well, Odie Hawkins,
Yes, baby.
are we ready for another moment in time?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and we're going to be talking about travel and
travel.
writing. All right.
Okay.
You're
Travel
right,
as a writer.
And who are you? What's your name, sir?
Okay, you got a very nice little seat there.
Yes,
you,
thank you. Yeah.
oh, you look like you're sitting at the old, what was that jazz club in Hermosa Beach? The Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse.
Where the seats were so tight you had to see them. Talking about going places.
Yes. There you
Well,
go.
let me say this before we get into this a little bit. It's only you'll be. Why don't you make yourself comfortable? If you pull it out at the end there, you might be a little bit more out there.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Good. Okay.
It occurred to me, we mentioned the mission statement of the program from time to time. The idea is to talk a little bit about an African American writer's life. In this case,
With
me.
his wife.
Yeah, with his wife, Zola Selena Hawkins.
Yes.
Not me, you. Because we found there was a complete dearth of material about people like us or by us.
Yes.
So we decided to do it. I have a few books out there. Google Amazon.com or
Google Odie Hawkins.
just Google Odie Hawkins.
Okay, and you can look on Amazon.com and also search for Odie Hawkins and his works.
And of course, Zola has done photo covers for at least 17 of my books. I think she has a few credentials of her own. We were concerned about different social matters, especially right now with the Chauvin trial. They want to keep putting George Floyd on trial, but he's not the one on trial. It's the killer who's on trial, the murderer. And of course, the latest murdering of the young man named Dante Wright in Minnesota. And we were, kicking around a little bit last night, and we decided to call a couple of our healthcare professionals, friends, a couple of shrinks we know. Sorry, y'all, psychologists. And said, well, okay, what do you do about this? Our impulse was to just go silent and forget about this particular little YouTube program. One of the greatest pieces of advice I have to suggest, I don't know if you heard this person talking, say, no, don't do that, because if you're going to be prevented from doing something creative and imaginative because another black person had been shot, another black woman raped or dishonored, another child miseducated or whatever it is that happens to us here since we've been here, since 16, 19, then you would actually be stalemated. You wouldn't do anything. So, having said all that as a prologue to what we're about, we decided to make this particular little program, if you want to call it that, a travel log. And what was your question?
Well, my thing was that, we've been talking about your growth as from when you were born, high school and so forth.
Yeah.
But as a writer,
Yeah.
you're supposed to also, yes, you constantly tell people, you need to read, you need to write. If you don't write every day, you're not a writer. And you need to travel. And so, since you may not know this, Odie Hawkins has traveled quite a bit. And I'm sure it made an impression on wherever he was at. So tell me about something.
Okay, I'll start it this way. I think I became interested in traveling very early in life because I was born in Chicago, and between the age of birth and like 19, I went to 17 grammar schools. We were extremely poor. You spell that poor. That's about 3 levels below poor. And because we were poor, we went from one side of the city to the other. But Chicago has 3 distinct sides to it. the north side, the south side, and the west side. The lake is east side. So if you live on, I never hear anybody say east side, but lake is east side. We even lived on the east side. Going about the city like that, I think actually established some nomadic instincts in me.
Probably. Yeah.
You know, because the first thing I started thinking about when I was able to do it, I'll say that my first travel was done in these United States.
Okay.
I've been all over this place, from New York to California, from the south to the north. I avoided North Dakota and South Dakota and places like that were real cold because I'd already experienced that in Chicago. Why go, you know, do that? But
so you would say if you're not going to travel abroad, as people have a tendency, I'm going to Paris, I'm going to Europe. Know where you live. Know your state.
First
okay,
of all,
right, you know, right.
Yeah, I can remember taking bus trips from Chicago to California, but the most memorable trip I can think about on a bus took place from Mexico City to Chicago.
Well, tell us about
Okay,
it.
that's the
Tell us
trip.
about it, okay.
The year was 1958. Ancient history, y'all.
That's
ancient
right, I was born in
history.
48, so 58, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I was 10 years old.
You were still a baby. 1958, I could say the devil made me do it, but actually it was more a case of Alfaro Siqueiros, Clemente Orozco, and Diego Rivera. These are three great Mexican muralists. And I kept coming across, I know this is a funny kind of catalyst for going someplace,
Right, yeah.
but I kept coming across these used murals by these three men. And I decided, at the time, I think you could fly from Chicago to Mexico City for $200, something like that. Think about that.
Okay, yeah.
Way back when. So I decided to go, and it was a marvelous trip. It was 1958, and they were in Mexico City. There was 12 million people. Now I think it's 22 million.
Okay.
So I found out by going. I didn't know anybody there. I just simply I picked up a book and stabbed my finger at a hotel called the Maria Cristina, which happened to be a beautiful little hotel right off the main street in Mexico.
I checked and it's still around.
It's still there?
It's still there.
Okay, what is it, 200 years old now or something like that? I don't know, but when I went, it was right off the Paseo de la Reforma, which is the main thoroughfare in Mexico. It interlocks with Insurgentes and some other avenues, but you can go from Chapultepec Park all the way through the heart of Mexico City. And the reason that they give for the creation of this street is that Napoleon installed Maximilian and Carlotta, who were two members of the minor European royal families when France controlled Mexico.
Okay.
And Carlotta wanted to see her husband coming home from work every day, so she had this grand...
Typical woman.
Typical woman. I guess right. Something like that. She had this grand avenue sliced straight through Mexico City, so that she could see him coming home in his carriage and so forth. Then was then.
Right.
In 1958, for me, it was a great place, as you can imagine. In 1958, we were having, as we are now, all kind of racial problems and this and that. You know, imagine to go right across the southern border. History changes things.
Yeah.
But to go right across the southern border as an African American into a country of brown people.
How lovely.
Yeah, I mean, there was, it was right after I went across at Arizona, I believe, and, no, what am I talking about? I flew down and I took a bus back. That's what I'm trying to say. So flying down, I missed going through Texas, and what Texas was about in 1958 and so forth.
That was smart.
Yeah, you know, I didn't need to have any of that. I knew about that.
Right.
But I'm at the Maria Cristina. I'm all over the place. There was 12.5 pesos to the dollar, which meant that you could go and get a wonderful dinner for 25 pesos. You know, I could go on and on about what things cost and so forth. So, but what I remember more than anything else is the hospitality that was shown to me.
And that is so the case. So often when you go anywhere, you know, you just about, people can be really mentioned. They can,
Mensch.
yeah.
Yeah.
They can,
Well, it helps, you know, say I didn't speak Spanish then, I still don't speak Spanish now, but I would never starve to death. I'd never starve to death, but, you know, I didn't starve in Spain, so. But at that time, you know, just a few words, you ask somebody, what is the, you know, can you, you know, looking for some direction, you look up and a couple of people are taking you by your hand and led you to some place.
When you say that, it reminds me when we were in London and lost in the tube.
In the tube, yes.
Okay, and a wonderful Indian girl, she said, "Auntie, are you lost?" And I said, "Yes." And she asked where we wanted to go, and she took my hand, and I took your hand, and she led us to the right place. Thank you. Never got your name, but thank you.
Yeah.
For all those who give us directions.
For all
those who give us directions.
Saint direction givers.
Saint directions, yes, you saints.
Interesting thing happened. I don't want to remain in Mexico for the whole course of this, but in my going around and about, I had an adventure that might be worth mentioning. Right outside of Mexico City, as you go out of the city, there's a city made of islands with wonderful plants, and it's a tourist thing. It's called Xochimilco. Xochimilco. When the Aztecs were creating Mexico City, they stabilized the ground of the little islands with reeds and things that grew down. So Mexico City is built on like a salt lake.
Oh my!
Yeah,
okay.
Every now and
I
then.
remember that. It's always talking about, what is it, the water level or something like that. Yeah.
Every now and then, it may be disappearing, tilting. But Xochimilco is where people take one of these little Venice type boats. Somebody peddles it out. I decided to do that. In the town of Xochimilco itself, I looked up and discovered they had a little tequila place. Many little tequila places. And what they said was, se prohibide perros y mujeres. We prohibit dogs and women.
Oh my.
It was then
Male chauvinistic.
male show was 1958.
Yes.
Ain't that something?
Times do change. I wonder what's going on now.
Probably would be say
Probably
prohibide.
woman owns the bar.
That probably woman owns. But I went in the bar, you know, what does tequila taste like in the place where they make it? And while I'm there, 3 guys in white clothes came up there, white shirts, white pants, stood near me, you know, and we smiled at each other. And one of the guys spoke very good English. He had been a dishwasher in L.A.
Okay, all right.
You know.
Going back, okay, home.
So we started talking. They asked me, well, where are you going? I'm just wandering around. So come go with us. Okay, it pays to be a little bit paranoid when you travel, but not too much so. I decided to go with them. And we wound up somewhere, this alley that I had about $20. I thought, well, you know, if they kill me for $20, I'm dead. But I'll first give up the money.
Okay.
So
don't have to
you
kill
don't
me for the
have to-
20, right? You don't have to kill me for the $20.
But it wasn't about that at all. We just became interested in each other. You know, why are you here? Por mi vida, you know, for my life.
Right.
okay. We wound up at some little, like an Indian home, which we entered a room, a pretty large room, with about 15 or 20 men sitting around
Oh my.
with the same guys, white outfits on. You know, I thought maybe it was a church group or something. And
Yeah, church.
in church. But I found out actually it was. One of the men asked me, "Is the sun in your eyes?"
Yeah. I was thinking about. Yeah, well, you're kind. Thank you.
You don't want to sit up here and have you go blind. I mean,
No.
you're the wrong thing to do. How's that?
Just a little bit more, please.
We
There we go.
we can
There.
control the sun.
Yes, okay. Thank you.
Anyway, while we were there, one of the men leans over to me and he says, "You know, have you ever had peyote?" Peyote. Peyote. I know pot. I know cocaine. I know heroin. I know dexazine and amphetamine. Peyote. What is it? It's a great herb. It's a great herb. What does it do? And these ladies were coming from the other room bringing little bowl, like a little bowl, looked like a little bowl. It helps you see things.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll try some of that. Boy, what am I doing? It's too late now. Hey,
Okay.
everybody sip their bowl. They do a little blessing, I guess it is, to you, to you, to you. You see that in a lot of cultures. They offer thanks in every direction.
Of course.
It could be some god you want to name or some deity that represents all of the four directions or whatever. I drank a bowl, everything was cool. And we're sitting there talking, and I remember looking at a couple of windows were right here, and I started seeing the rainbow.
Oh, okay.
When you see specks in the reflections of it. So I didn't want to say anything. Somebody started singing. Real nice little song. And strangely enough, I knew the chorus to the song.
Oh, of course.
Never heard the song before in my life, right?
You were enlightened.
I'm thinking, hey, maybe he's on to something. They came in, the ladies, the women were making tea in an outdoor thing, the way they do in some places. I brought us a couple of more, another bowl of tea. Kind of bitter, but okay. And it got very quiet. The person next to me who was doing most of the talking to me, was speaking at one point in, I hope I pronounce it right, in Nahuatl, which is the Aztec language,
Okay.
and it seemed like it was very clear what he was saying to me. And I was answering him in my elementary Spanish, See? And we started laughing. Somebody told a joke over there that made sense to me. I laughed it along with everybody else. Somebody else sang a song. It was a very, very animated group, but nobody was jumping up and down.
Right. Okay.
The Mexican Indian is a very interesting personality, a very interesting character. They're not given to extreme displays, despite the fact that everybody pictures the Mexican with his two guns and all that. That wasn't happening. These people were very cool. We went around and around. I think I had 3 bowls of tea, and I looked at the window. And it was coming out, the dawn was coming out. I'm thinking, wait a minute, we came in in the middle of the afternoon on a sunshiny day. I remember that, because the sun was streaming through the thing. I'd never I'd never had any hallucinogenic in my life other than just simply living on the south side.
Yeah, okay.
Other than that. And the ladies who were doing the cooking, I don't know where, I think they must have been somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
They brought us in some beans and tortillas,
Oh, okay.
you know, tortilla. It's a poor thing. I'm waiting for somebody to ask me for some money, you know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Never happened. We had the beans and tortillas, and the same three guys I came with, they say, you know, do you want to go home now? I said, oh yeah, I want to go home. I'm staying at the Maria Cristina. They showed me, they took me down to the bus. What is it? Look, they had like an intercity bus,
Okay.
something like little raggedy bus.
Uh-huh.
And they told the man where I wanted to go. You know, of course, I could tell him that. I'm Maria Cristina in the city. He took me. I paid him something like $1.50.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny because I got off in front of this really nice hotel in this big bus, big raggedy looking school bus all by myself.
Uh-huh.
And went in and it was like mid-morning, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The touristas were there. They looked at me like, who is this?
Mm-hmm.
With a bus.
Mm-hmm.
I went into the desk clerk and he looked out, you know. Ah, senor, we missed you last night, so I wasn't here.
I guess you did miss me.
So that's just one little example what can happen to you when you go around. When
But
you
it
travel.
gives you a foundation for making stories.
It's like, I think for the creative person, if you don't avail yourself of other venues, of other outlets, you wind up having a very stale, distorted, not a stunted,
Mm-hmm.
you know, thing about life. I know this might not be a popular thing to say, but what do I care?
Mm-hmm.
I look up and I'm talking to my friend Jason about rap music, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, oh, we went to the rap concert with him down at
Oh,
California
yes.
Plaza.
Yeah, California Plaza, right.
Okay, so hey, you know,
It's supposed to be a blend of rap and classical.
it was an interesting adventure,
Mm-hmm.
and we could go again. I mean, you know, just to see what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But what I remember having a discussion with Jason about was
Mm-hmm.
rap itself, and I was saying, hey man, there's some rap I like, some I don't like, some rappers I like, some I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem I find is that once you get into that particular form of expression, that's it.
Well, you know, and it's funny because I find, you know, but maybe I've not been exposed as much to the rappers here in this country, but I find the exposure we've had of rappers in other countries, I find their rap is much more appealing to me. A lot of times it's political, and it's not all about a woman and her booty and stuff like that, but it has substance, you know, and I think
Okay,
that's
but
really,
that, you know, in some
really-
ways, according to the information I've gotten,
Mhm.
it's one of the ways it started here. It had a political substance to it.
Gil
And
Scott
then-
Aaron or something like that.
Okay, it goes way back to that. It goes back to these Jamaican rappers in New York,
Okay.
according to the history that's been given to me.
Mhm.
And they were like Bob Marley and people like that. They were into critical social issues and politics, and then in some kind of funny way, it got co-opted by people who just simply were interested in money.
Okay.
And all you need to do is, you know, bring enough MFs into it and enough bitches and on and on and on.
Right.
Like I'm saying, I'm going back to Jason. What I had to say to him was that if I wound up being stuck in rap, how will I listen to the Hindu ragas? How will I know something about the Puerto Rican bomba or the Afro-Cuban mambo or the Brazilian samba or capoeira music or, you know.
There's
It's-
just so much music.
so
out
much
here.
music.
Right, okay.
I mean, in addition to that, all European classical music is not just dull as hell. Some of it is very interesting. Some of it is dull as hell. But in addition to that, I'm saying to the brother, if I'm only stuck with rap music And I don't hear superb bass playing. I don't hear a Max Roach. I don't hear a Miles Davis or Freddie Hubbard or Lee Morgan or whoever you could, Dizzy Gillespie or whoever you can name. I won't hear musicians who's going to play the piano in the future.
Yeah, well, it'd be like the when you were in the park and you were playing your drum and you asked the teenagers what did they play and they said they didn't play nothing. They only played the radio.
Only played the radio.
I'm like, whoa.
Ooh, I felt so sad.
I know.
Man. But you know the point you make about hearing rap in other languages. There's some Sinhalese rappers who are rapping about the revolutionary changes they need in their country, and without knowing Serer or Wolof or French. Somehow it strikes a chord.
Yes.
Well, first of all, they're not using as much profanity.
No, but
And,
yeah, it does. It has
in addition to
foundation.
that, they focus on things like rhythmic background. When you hear rap with Jim Bay behind it, that's another thing. That's another thing.
So, other than Mexico, where else have you traveled?
How much time do we have?
Well, we're just going to do a little bit more, about these 10 more minutes.
Okay, from Mexico, 1958 for the first time. It happened, and in between travels back and forth around and about the United States. I wound up going to Europe, I think, for the first time in 1967, 1968.
So what was Europe like in 67, 68? I was graduating from high school.
Oh, lucky you. I almost didn't. I wanted to go. I had a theory that I wanted to test. I wanted to check out what it was. This was a real thing in my head. I wanted to find out what it was that made the white man in America.
Okay.
How did the European become white men? As we know, when Europeans came here, they were not automatically white men in the sense that I'm talking about it. They became white men after they acclimated and discovered that they wanted to be in charge of everything. In Europe, the German was the German, the French were, they fought each other and so forth. But they remained French, they remained this and that, this and that.
Spanish, yeah. French, German, Polish.
Okay, they didn't become a white power-packed force till they got here. A friend of mine advised me, why don't you go to Scandinavia where the real white people live? Scandinavia. Okay, that struck a chord.
Okay.
Go to Sweden. It's all right. So, make a long story short, I wound up in a little town right outside of Stockholm called Nacka.
Okay.
It's a suburb of Stockholm. I was staying with a family, John and Margrethe Askeland.
Hello there. Hope you're out there. Hope
John
you
and
see us.
Margrethe.
They had a daughter.
With Thor and the baby, Nina. I remember you guys because for 2 weeks, John Askeland was a Norwegian, incidentally married to a Swedish woman. And he was an encyclopedia of racial information. He worked for Shell Oil, I believe, so they had a very nice lifestyle. And he started off telling me, while we sat right in front of this beautiful picture window looking out of the lake right there, and drank scotch and played chess for 2 weeks, in addition to having other little pleasures and so forth. And he was talking about how much he hated to come to America. Because when he came to America, he was no longer a Norwegian, he became a white man. And he didn't like it. You know, I go to the meeting with the other executives, and believe it or not, within a half an hour, they are telling racist jokes. You know, what is this thing of the black man with the watermelon? I love watermelon. So I do too. What is the joke of it? Or the other one, they always talk about the black man and the chicken. Chicken is good meat. I like it, you know. So you don't understand the context. But he began to explain what, you know, we were Swedes in Sweden, we were Norwegian in Norway, we were Finns in Finland, and then when we got to America, the overwhelming social forces at work asked us to acclimate. And in order to acclimate properly, you had to behave the way the rest of the white people. If you went to Mississippi, you were expected to hang black people, or lynch them, or do whatever was happening.
Mistreason.
Yeah.
One way or the other, yeah.
But he was saying to me then, it would be unthinkable to most Swedes that because a man was black, that we would hang him. But he would wear the head again. But it's going to happen. The way it's going to happen is that you have people coming from Southern Europe, Italians, Sicilians, and Greeks, and they are coming to do low-wage jobs.
Okay.
And in addition to that, Margrethe can tell you that they are very attractive men, mostly. And the women, you know, the Swedish woman, she looks at this dark, handsome stranger, and she looks at me, the pale Norwegian. Who's going to get the girl? He's a funny guy.
I bet. He sounds like it.
So I went through Sweden, Denmark for a minute.
You were telling me something about your little girl was really kind of cute.
Nina?
Yeah.
The little child.
She's all grown up by now.
She's probably a grandmother by now. But every morning, I was such an interesting person to her. I didn't speak Swedish, she didn't speak English. To about 4, maybe 4 or 5. She would come up to my bedroom and wake me up and take me by the hand. I had on pajamas.
Okay.
And take me by the hand and lead me downstairs. They kept this wonderful bread in a bread box that I think was cooled by outside temperature. I forget how the construction was. Okay. But the bread was wonderful. And they had homemade jams and jellies and stuff. You know, right. Swedish food is good. Very healthy. Nina sits up at the table speaking very good Swedish.
Telling you, animated, I'm sure.
Take the bread, she liked butter on her bread with the jam.
Oh, me too, okay.
You're not Swedish, are you?
I'm Swedish.
You could be Swedish. Yes.
Okay.
So she's doing this, and I didn't know it, but John and Margrethe are peeking around behind me. You know, morning after morning. Finally, they can't, you know, leave him alone, Nina. Leave him alone. You know,
Nina, he is a lot of fun, isn't he? He's a lot of fun.
Well, what I do at 7 o'clock in the morning, get up and butter a little girl's bread and put some jam on it. And she's sitting there with jam all around her lips. So I swear, you know, it's okay. She just simply, I said, what did she say about me? She says you make her think of peanut butter.
Okay, so she did right. So she looks at you and she gets hungry.
Yeah,
okay.
You know, but she did. She looked at me like, saying, "John, what does your daughter think of me as a African American?" So, well, she, like I said, she's like, you know, well, also she likes your hair. Oh. You know, she wasn't like doing the little. She was too well mannered to be rubbing your head and all that stuff. But he says she talks. You know, I like what she called me. Odie, something like that. I like his hair, and I like his peanut butter skin.
His peanut butter skin. Okay, that's beautiful. You never should have told me that one before.
Yeah, no, I forgot. Anyway, I left. That was. I went back and forth to Europe maybe 4 times over the years. I had no reason to go other than the fact that I got hold of some screenplay money or something. And I always tell myself, leave America alone as often as you can. You get a new perspective on it, and you come back and find that, yes, I mean, you know, I don't want to take us off into discussing what lasts all night. But some of the things that we're going through right now that have been happening for 400 years,
But then,
the shit gets boring at times.
well, that's the dark side. But also when you go abroad and you can appreciate the hospital care and,
Ain't that?
the amenities of being in America.
Can I give you a quickie on Denmark?
Please.
I was in Denmark for a week.
Mm-hmm.
I was staying at a hotel called La Belle France.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do is just get out and walk until you get lost.
Okay.
That's the best way to do it. I was staying in a place, they make Tuborg beer, and you don't drink beer, so you don't know.
I don't drink, basically.
Someday. Anyway, I'm out walking and, walking around. I wound up somewhere on the waterfront.
Oh, okay.
And this guy came over. I assumed he was gay.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't.
Oh, okay.
But the way he approached me, said, hi, what are you doing? What are you up to?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody speaks English because English is the second language, almost.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just strolling around, American. Yeah, so I lived in New Jersey.
Ah.
His name was Tom Hansen.
Oh, Tom Hansen.
Tom Hansen.
Hmm.
I remember Tom. That's well. You want to go to a nightclub?
Hi, Tom Hansen.
Hi, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're a great grandfather too. We're gonna get to the health care
Okay.
in just a minute.
Okay.
We strolled around. We stopped and had a couple of beers. He knows his way around.
Mm-hmm.
The guy had been in the French Foreign Legion. And he said, "What
That's almost unbelievable that anybody,
Yeah,
like something you hear about in movies, you don't actually think exists.
Yeah, he was a legionnaire. He was collecting a pension, which is another story. Anyway, we stopped in a couple of places and have beers. And I remember in one of them, I looked up and the middle-aged lady came over and asked me to dance. To do something looked like a polka waltz,
Okay.
and I was a mambo king at the time, so
Okay.
waltz. That wasn't nothing. All you had to do was keep your body straight, and so we did it. Somebody else came over and asked me to dance. Tom rescued me, said, "Hey, we better get out of here because here they come." So he danced me to death. We're going around it about the city. What is America like these days? And da-da-da. We stopped at another club. He said, "Wait, I got to go and see this guy at the French embassy about my check. It's about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning." So, okay, well, we go. He knocks on the window of a building, and the man down there is busy. And he said, "Who is it? It must be Tom Hansen." Yeah, I didn't get a chance to get my check this morning, so he said, "Come back in the morning, I will give it to you then. I'm busy now." Okay. And he says, Frenchman, It's about 4 o'clock in the morning. We've been to about 4 or 5 places. I'm skipping past some places. Today is the day that I get my gold pen. I almost forgot. What gold pen for what? For blood. Tell me about it. So, the place we're going is about 3 blocks away.
It's something in the morning, but yes.
Yeah, 4 o'clock in the morning. We're going to a hospital.
4 o'clock in the morning.
4 o'clock in the morning. Okay. We get in the hospital, and they got a party going on in the what you call the cafeteria. People in there drinking beer, and what is this? He said, "Oh, these are people. You get a silver pen for giving so many pints of blood. You get what's the next?
Okay.
When you get up to gold,
okay.
you get something like 10 pints of blood."
Okay.
And he was getting his silver, his gold pen.
Oh my God.
And you go and sit down and if you want to get some blood, say, "I think not." And
not here.
we've been drinking all this beer and they want that effective, the nurse is saying, no. So I didn't want to give it a blood. After you give the blood, then you go to the cafeteria and drink all the beer you want to drink.
Oh my.
And so that's what people are doing.
Uh-huh.
Healthcare,
Uh-huh.
which means that, you know, you can go and get the finest healthcare, a major league operation for $20. A little bit like Kaiser, you know.
Okay, yeah.
And we get to my place back at dawn.
Uh-huh.
That's where I think I was leaving town that afternoon. He said, well, you know, I'll give you my number and you come back through Denmark. I'm going to stay here. I'm not going anyplace but here. This
Now, what's his name again?
Tom Hansen.
Tom Hansen.
Hansen.
Okay, look up his website, www.odiehawkins.com, and get his address. Write him, Tom Hansen.
But these are creatures, these are characters that you run all over the place. I mean, Zola, I could sit here till this time tomorrow night and we wouldn't cover half of it because I consider myself a private person. But whenever I have a chance to get out of here, somehow or other I wind up being assaulted, literally, by people who want to tell me their stories.
Magnetic. Well, that's a thing for the writer, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so you're getting a foundation, all right? A little bit of salt and pepper and different seasonings from the variety of people that you get to meet.
Everybody wants to tell you the story. That wasn't completely Denmark, but as a little facet of it. A whole lot of the social problems that we're fighting with here, they co-opted that. You know, we're not going to have, everybody who comes here is going to be Danish. If you make it here and you pass the citizenship thing, first of all, you're going to speak Spanish. It's not going to have any of these things of living in the country for 20 years and only speaking the language you came there with.
Right.
You can retain that language too, but you have to join the body politic, and the only way you're going to do it is to learn the language to know what is going on in that country. That's Europe. I've never had any...
Before you physically traveled, you traveled in a way when you found the library. And I imagine the books that you read in Chicago as a child, which I would think inspired you or give you the emphasis to.
I like this going back and forth because that's what happened. But in a way, I was in a foreign country anyway because I was living on the west side of Chicago in an area that the Jews had renamed Jewtown. It was mainly a commercial district, and it's where you district. I mean, it was like outdoor village fairs or something. Every Saturday and Sunday you could buy anything you want to buy.
Right.
And there was almost every kind of language that you could think about. Interesting enough for me is that the people I felt closer to were the gypsies. They had a whole collection of gypsies about once every year, so I don't know where they came from, but there would be a whole tribe of gypsies who would occupy certain streets around about Canal Street. Somebody who's old enough to remember Canal, and they would be there, and they were just as totally free of any kind of accusation. They had not acclimated. They were gypsies.
Okay.
You know, they spoke.
A lot of singing and...
They did whatever they wanted to do. I mean, I can remember coming down the street and somebody said, well, what's that on the music? It's some gypsy family decided they were having a holiday, or we could never figure out what it was. Nobody knew what their holidays were. At the same time, there were Christian gypsies who celebrated Christmas.
All right.
The Rom, they call themselves, the Romani, had their own gods that dated back from some other kind of time. But, you know, everybody knows there's nothing more religious than a religious gypsy.
Well, in fact, it's so funny because when I worked with Audrey Boswell-Jones, next to her office was
Boswell-Jones.
Yes, awesome woman. Anyway, when I worked there, there's a gypsy on the north side of her office, and somehow or another we had a Christmas tree, and I asked them if they wanted the Christmas tree, and the lady was all enthusiastic. Yes, she wanted it, but she said she couldn't take it inside. I was like, that's odd. You want the Christmas tree, but you can't take it inside. So it has something to do with their culture, I guess.
Yeah. Well, if we could, I don't want to extend this past a certain point.
Yes, it's about that time.
Yeah, but
Moment in
I would
time.
like to say in conclusion with your,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for inviting me to talk about these things because it helps to become involved with other people's cultures.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're looking at the things now. We know that there are 50 Asian countries in this world. And here you are in the country where many of these Asian groups live, and somebody is becoming anti-Asian
Mm-hmm.
for some reason that only Trump could think about.
And the thing is, you think about all the inventions and the wonderful things that we've gotten from our Asian brothers and sisters. And there's World Tai Chi Day on April 24th.
Oh, when does that come? April 24th?
April 24th. And all over the world, the last Saturday in April is World Tai Chi Day. And so, you know, it's time to celebrate the gifts that we can share among each other,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
including the writing gifts. Yeah.
Including the writers,
Ni hao ma, man hao. Hi, Crystal Long.
Hey, Crystal.
Hey, Crystal. Thank you for
What's up?
teaching
What's
us,
up?
trying to teach us Chinese Mandarin.
Hey, I couldn't learn Chinese when I could learn it. Now I know I can't learn it. But thank you for trying anyway.
This is very true. All of our friends. And so, another moment in time. Hope you've enjoyed it. Okay, I'm glad that I was able to travel out of Hackensack, New Jersey. I knew 9 years old when I was shoveling snow that I was
lucky
going to
you.
go somewhere where it was warm, and if I could look at the snow, that would be cool. But I didn't want to have to go into it. So with that, thank you, Odie Hawkins.
My pleasure.
All right.
When do we get back together again?
Oh, next Monday.
Next Monday, okay.
Okay, at least
Another
before
moment
the
in time.
camera. We'll be back together again.
Great.
Otherwise. All right. Thank you for joining us. Bye now.
See you.
Another itness.
Alfred.
Itness.